What is good, y'all? It's Pod.cannion, and I'm here with an anime video. That's pretty rare, but we out here doing a Vinland Saga video. And in January 2023, Vinland Saga will start releasing the second season. So what I'm going to do is for the people who probably, I don't know how this will go, but sometime in the future someone might not want to watch all of it and might just want to know what happens. So this is pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to speedrun season 2 and hopefully do this before my camera dies. If I succeed, you'll know because you're seeing this video right now. But if not, you won't be seeing this. So I'm gonna try my best with this, but we're gonna see if we can get this under 20 minutes. The chapters I'll be doing is chapter 56 to 110. I might leave out, I most likely will leave out details, but it's pretty much like the main basics of what happened, or will happen depending on what time or day you're watching this video. But yeah, without any further ado, I'm a speedrun season 2. So we start off by introducing a new character. Apologies if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I always in my head said it as Einar. um Einar is a slave. We see some of his journey as he's going to different um owners, getting put up for sale, and we're pretty much showing his point of view for a couple of pages so that we know what kind of a little bit of the stuff that he's been through. He is bought by his new slave owner, Iron Fist Keithel. And he gives him an opportunity to buy back his freedom in exchange for working on his land. Now, what he has to do specifically is he has to cut down trees, like it's a forested area. He has to cut down trees, uproot the trees, and then make like growable crops out of that land. So remove the trees out of that area and plant. Now, that would be very convenient if he had some construction equipment, but it was just him and one other worker. We realize a little bit later that he's like, did you meet Thorfinn, who's his partner who's working on the job? So that's how we're reintroduced to Thorfinn in the story. And we realize that some time has gone by because he's looking really down bad right now. We also meet the master's son, who is 13, and you can tell he doesn't really like being babied a lot. He has a ambition of being a warrior. You can tell he's sick of being treated like a kid. He wants to forge his own path, and he really does come off as spoiled in the beginning, which he technically is, but we'll see later how his character develops. Now, there are servants. So there are slaves, and they have servants who are pretty much just working for free, but they get like a place to stay. So they take advantage of his drunkenness as he's like complaining about it, like, oh, I wish I stopped being treated like a kid, because he wanted to be a warrior. So they convince him, um while he's drunk and stuff, that if he wants to be a true warrior, he needs to experience killing someone first. So the servants decide to use one of the slaves as an example for the son to practice on, just carelessly throwing a life away so this guy can feel more like a man. Now, they take Einar, right, and try to use him, but then Thorfinn, he looks very down bad and depressed. He's like, I high key want to die. So he volunteers to be the one that they kill. The guy tries to like bluff him because he's like, why is this guy so fearless? So he like cuts him, but like not really, like just doing like light scratches on him and stuff like that. And this man is doing the Kobe. He is just not flinching at all. Um, but then another servant who's much more skilled shows up, and he kind of activates his survival instincts and like does like a flip back like his old agile self. And because of his past and how he became a slave in the first place, I'm talking. Okay, I am switching gears here and talking about Einar because he sees this and notices that Thorfinn might not be the guy he thought he was in the beginning because of how he was just so able to fight. He hates people who fight in wars because of what certain people did to his village and stuff. Now, Thorfinn has nightmares every single night, and like he just sounds like he's in complete agony fighting those demons, but he can never remember the dream he has. He forgets it as soon as he wakes up screaming. So now we switch gears, right? And we're shown King Canute's perspective. King Canute is the guy who killed the guy that Thorfinn was trying to kill his whole entire life, right in front of his eyes. And that was kind of his only goal. So once his only goal was taken from him, that's how we get dead and down in the dumps Thorfinn. So we're seeing King Canute's perspective, and it seems like the power kind of got to his head, right? Um, Speaking of heads, this man is literally haunted by his father, um, who tried to kill him and ended up getting killed, not by King Canute himself, but it, it was kind of all, in his plan. Um, so whenever he makes a decision that reflects the thing that his father used to do, he called it the curse of the crown, and that's kind of like what is replayed in his head through his father's voice. And yeah, I think this symbolizes his conscience, like manifested in his father who told him about his perspective of being a king. So back to Thorfinn. Um, Working on the new land, and it's very difficult because they don't have no type of machinery. They are not in Dr. Stone. Um, and they just said we need a horse to be able to at least pull these roots out. Um, but none of the servants wanted to give them a horse. So they just look elsewhere, start looking around until they find an old man that will lend them a horse in exchange to help him do his land. When they found him, this man was laid out on the ground, looked like he already was dead, trying to do all this work by himself. So they agreed, and yeah, after working for a while, they get the horse, and then work just becomes a lot easier for them. They're starting to make progress, and it's starting to show. The servants see that and get a little bit jealous. And when a little bit, I mean, they're getting pretty jealous. Like, you see this multiple times. And we find out through a conversation overheard that the master and the old man that they helped are related. The old man is Mather, Iron Fist Keithel's father. So it's kind of interesting. No, nothing too crazy. We also find out that Snake, the guy who activated Thorfinn's survival instincts, kind of looks after the old man, and he works the night shift to look out for thieves and anyone who might try to take stuff from their land at nighttime. So later that night, the thieves strike again, and we find out another thing about Einar is that he's head over heels for this one girl. But what he doesn't know is the girl that he's head over heels for is sleeping with the slave master. Moment of silence for my boy, bro. Cause that's just a bad L. But her name is Arnice though. And meanwhile, time is still progressing. They're seeing that they're making progress on their land, and the crops are actually starting to grow. This makes the servants jealous once again. The master's son not the 17-year-old son. He has another son. His son returned from war. It's his eldest son. And the thieves are caught, and they turn out to be a little boy and girl that were just hungry and trying to gather their food because their father has not returned from war after a year. What I find out about the master's true nature is that it seems it hurts him more to see the kids get hurt than yeah, just them stealing. Like, he seems like he has a much kinder heart than what is let out to be. Like, it seems like he doesn't really have it in him. So Keithel seems a lot more traumatized by this than he should be. And after this incident, while Keithel is in bed with Arnice, he is sobbing by her side, telling him about the Iron Fist story and how it's all a lie, and he was just making it up just to have respect for the people of the land. So that means his eldest son grew up thinking his father was a seasoned warrior and had the and was inspired by it and became a seasoned warrior himself, but his father never did that. So now the eldest son is more of a more experienced fighter than his father will ever be. But right after this, we're shown a little glimpse of Thorfinn's nightmare. He's climbing up what seems to be the side of a cliff. He doesn't know where he is or why he's climbing. All he knows that if he falls, it will be the end for him. And the things that are below start pulling him down. It looks like hands, and he falls down and wakes up screaming. The servants show their jealousy again. And this time, they're just planning to sabotage the land at this point, because they're saying they can't have slaves do better than the servants. So, Thorfinn tells Einar about Askeladd. He's slowly starting to remember, but he can't piece all of the pieces together. Einar suggests that because he lost his purpose for revenge, he probably has dreams because his subconscious won't let this go. But what troubles Thorfinn the most is that despite hating him for almost all of his life, more than half of it, he feels like he doesn't anymore, and that's the fact that troubles him the most. He continues to say that without hate, which was his driving force to keep him going, he now kind of feels empty. He grew up with no other desires, so all the other stuff just really feels new to him, just basic tasks like farming and stuff, because he was so driven on killing. All he knew was war. So soon after, the old man brings them to go fishing, and this is one of my favorite scenes from the story. When fishing, he gives them advice that can be used in more than just one thing. He said, "Don't just keep casting your net in the same place. Keep changing where you cast it to. It's not too late to start learning something new, one thing at a time. Things that are empty. When something's empty, it means that you can fill it with anything. And being empty is really the best condition if you want to start something new." So Einar says he can clearly see Thorfinn changing into a better person. And this is, without a doubt, my favorite chapter. Now, we come back, and the crops are destroyed. Who on earth could have done that? Now, Einar is rightfully furious and just wants it back in blood. And what makes him angry the most is that he knows that they are all farmers and that they should know the struggles that come with making and preparing land and how hard that they work. Thorfinn says that he knows how this will go, and says he knows where this will go, and revenge will bring nothing. Now, Einar notes that Arnice is probably not going, this is like him like building up, like just kind of breaking down, because he's starting to catch on that Lord Keto has a fondness for our niece, so he probably isn't going to let her go and be free like them. So on their way back from reporting the incident about the servants, they run into the servants. And the servants act clueless, but one taunts them at the same time. And Thorfinn, while trying to hold Einar back, punches the guy in the mouth so hard his jaw breaks. Now, he kind of didn't mean to do this. It was just like an anger flash. But they're already fighting at this point, and he gets snuck up from behind and is knocked out and instantly starts dreaming. Because he's dreaming, you see the full dream. He sees his father in peaceful fields, and his father expresses his disapproval for his knife that he lent to him for defending himself being stained in blood. Mid-conversation, hands appear from underground and drag him down with them. He remembers his father saying, "You have no enemies, not a single one. There is no human who it's okay to hurt, and there never was." He falls in and sees all of his dead comrades. The ones pulling him down were all the people he killed, and he doesn't even remember most of them. After that, he starts climbing, and we see the complete dream of him having a conversation with Askeladd, and that they aren't even really in Valhalla. They're stuck in the world, like this material world, and yeah, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot, but pretty much when he says when you climb back up to where he was before, that beautiful setting, you have to bring these people that you killed up there with you, and you have to carry that weight. Cowboy Bebop. But I like this because Askeladd said it was kind of, he was freed in the moment where he didn't get his revenge, because I still don't know what he would have done after that. Like, let's say he succeeded. Would he go straight home feeling like he's accomplished something? I still don't know. But he realizes that he's going to have to bring all these people with him. And, yep, when he wakes up after realizing the full dream that he's been seeing over and over again, he wakes up and swears to part with violence from this day forward. Evidence of the servants messing with the crops were left at the crop site, so the slaves weren't in trouble for fighting. Now, we get a time skip after this, because remember, we don't have machines. That foresting is going to take a long time. So 3 years passed, and we go to King Canute first. He is still conquering land after land, and the curse of the crown continues to haunt him. Now also, on the other side, the forest is cleared, so they're almost free. All they have to do is plant their crops, like continue planting their crops, and sell it to buy their freedom. So, a neighbor slave got free. A neighbor slave got free and killed his masters, and is now on a rampage. We just see a flash of it. King Canute is planning to take Iron Fist Kethel's land for more war money. And Iron Fist Kethel is ironically in the same town and runs into Leif, something like that. Leif is the guy who is from Thorfinn's original homeland, and he is one of the first people who told Thorfinn about Vinland. So he's very important. We meet great value Thorfinn named Big Eyes, and his original name is actually Thorfinn as well. So we realize that Leif adopted off-brand Thorfinn that wasn't really related to him, but he just, bought him out of slavery. So Canute tries to frame them all pretty much while they're up there by trying to say that the sun killed one of their men when it was all set up, and he actually got one of his subordinates to stage the whole thing. But lucky for the son, his older brother is a literal demon and kills like 5 of the guards with it just by himself. just looks like an actual demon. And they escape on the ship where they met Leaf at. So, King Canute sends troops to the land along with himself to take it by any means necessary. Now, that same slave that was on the run making a rampage, this is while the Iron Fist Keitha was gone. So that same slave who killed the neighbor slave, he goes to get our niece, and we find out that our niece is his wife before he was enslaved, and his name is Gardar. He's wounded and then captured, but the master isn't there, so they just put him away until they know like exactly where to send him off to. We find out that in our niece's past how she got enslaved, and also find out that she is pregnant with Keitha's child. Now, in the middle of the night, she goes to treat Gardar's wounds and ends up freeing him after he bites a guard's neck off. That is crazy. I don't know. They might censor that in the anime, but we'll see. And the two slaves, the slave and our niece, make a plan for him to escape. And their plan is seen through by Snake. Okay, this little skip. Pretty much what I'm saying right here is Einar and Thorfinn, with our niece, make a plan to help Gardar escape. See, Gardar is like really injured at this point, so he can't move too much on his own. So they gotta have a plan to pretty much veer off the attention of the guards who captured him and are pretty much waiting to see his next move. So they almost get through this with this plan, but Snake sees right through it, and he is just he is ready to kill this man because, mind you, the runaway slave, he is trying to get Farnese, but he killed a couple of Snake's comrades and friends, so he's trying to get it back in blood. So Thorfinn sees this, tries to block him from getting to him, but he realizes he has to make a choice here because he swore off violence, saying that he wouldn't be violent again. But this is a moment where he might have to. And just like King Canute's inner dialogue, Thorfinn saw Askeladd and asked him the same question. And he debates if this fight is a good exception to his swear against violence, because he's not fighting for hate and greed like he used to, but he's fighting to help / save those who are in need right now. So he decides that this might be a good one, but he doesn't have too much time to decide because this is going in anime timing. So this man is walking straight up to him right now. So he has to either move or step aside. It's like he's fighting for a purpose and not revenge. He still questions what is that of a true warrior, but he really doesn't have too much to go off because they are scrapping. Now Thorfinn isn't trying to hit him, but he's trying to block him off, and they're both fast. They both seem evenly matched here, and this will be absolutely a fire when it's animated. If it's animated by, I think, Mappa by now, I'm not sure. It might be Wilt Studio, but I don't know, bro. As long as it's fire, that's all I care about, if I'm being honest. But Thorfinn's goal is to just keep Snake away from Gardar's body so he doesn't kill him. Both are aware and they're acknowledging each other's strengths in their head. But he manages to get near Gardar by like almost hitting him and like, dodging out the way. And then he's like, oh shoot, he's right there. He stabs him and pretty much kills him while his body is already dead and stained with blood. Now, when I typed this, I changed the next page and I was like, oh shoot, never mind, because this dude got up somehow and choked him out from behind. I don't know how this dude found that energy. It's probably like that last energy boost before you go. But Gardar, he pretty much chokes him out, and he sees that the wound bled all the way through him, so he knows, Thorfinn knows that this wound is critical and he will die soon. Gardar doesn't know that though. So, Gardar and Ines ride away in the carriage. Arnis lies to him about their son still being alive, and he dies thinking so and promises that he won't ever leave them again. Sad scene, fam. Now, Keithel and others return, and he looks for Artis immediately because he is severely down bad after witnessing what might happen to his land. You know how he be traumatized and all that, going straight to the I'm not gonna say none, but yeah. And Thorfinn, he's kind of regretting that he had to use violence, and swears that from here on out, violence will be his last option, and he'll always try to use another option first. Now, Keithel is still distressed about everything, and then he finds out the situation that happened when he was gone. So he beats the literal shit out of Arnis until he's stopped by Snake, saying, I'm only stopping you because if you beat her anymore, you will kill her. If that's what you want to do, I'll let go of your hand. So he's still very angry, so he decides to take out his anger further by rallying his farmers and preparing them for battle to protect his farm. Now, Snake reveals that he already knew that Keithel was a fraud, and the farmers are no match for the seasoned soldiers that are about to get ready and take over the land. Now, it gets bad really fast. Like, the other army, like King Canute's army, only barely any of them get killed. Like, it's just a slaughter fest for them. So, even Keithel is almost killed himself, even though he's supposed to be kept alive. These guys are just monsters. So, his son snuck up from behind to do like a sneak attack on the king and almost succeeds, but a guard gets in his way, and then there are more coming, so he retreats back. But he gets a pretty good shot on him.